Damn, Stephanie, back at it again with another episode. Hello and welcome to the Creatives Off the Clock podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Whitehouse of SPW Design Media. Whether you are a creative person on or off the clock, we are so much more than what we create. On this podcast, I lift up stories, experiences, and passions of folks in our creative community and really dive into what caring and cultivating space for our creative self looks like. Thank you so much for listening. Hello, everyone. I know it has been a hot moment since I released an episode, and I will tell you that I don't feel great about that. But let's see. So a little bit of a celebration is in order because today marks the 2-year anniversary of SPW Design Media. Generally, how it came to be, its own little LLC. It's been crazy, not gonna lie to you. I am currently sitting in my swivel chair at my desk. I just wrote up a bit of a newsletter that I'm gonna send out later today with a couple of fun announcements that should land in your inbox. So that's super fun. But I've been thinking about today a lot, birthdays in general, many things on this topic I've been thinking about, but, how we make sense of things, how we, celebrate things, how we mark things as milestones, how we ritualize, which just takes me instantly back to my conversation with Catherine Newell-Okoji. I had her on the podcast, I guess, fairly early on. And we were talking about how important it is to ritualize parts of our lives that are important to us and even some of the mundane stuff. So I actually think that's episode 4, if I'm remembering that correctly. So if you want to check that out, it's a great episode. And also, I'm thinking about it because today I will be actually seeing Catherine a little later. Catherine and her partner in crime, Sydney Shaw, they're hosting a rage ritual, which is such a fun thing to conceptualize. Basically, how do we provide a container space for anger, which is a totally normal emotion, to come forth in a way that we can really process it and alchemize it. And this particular rage ritual centers around narcissistic abuse, which is wild because I don't think I realized just how much our society and capitalism and just like systems in general revolve around narcissism. Which is so much to unpack, and, that's probably a better conversation for my therapist, but, I don't know. I'm very excited about the ritual itself. It'll be later this evening, and I do probably want to reflect on that a bit, too, so I'll probably break up this episode and talk about it more later, but I wanted to celebrate this milestone in a very intentional way. And I think that the rage ritual today is going to be how I'm spending my evening. Very excited about it. And, just put in all of the energy and the anger that comes with contracts and building something up from the ground up and, working, how do you reconcile with people who steal your work or pass it off as theirs? And there's a lot of anger in entrepreneurship, I think is what I'm getting at. So I think to be able to talk about it and let it go and just really, lean into it instead of just pushing it further down is going to be a really great thing. And I really want to be able to talk with Catherine and Sydney on the podcast about how important rage is in creative spaces. So stay tuned, because that would be a hella fire episode. But yes, it is the birthday. It is the celebration. A few things I just want to reflect on, I guess. I am definitely freewheeling the hell out of this episode, because I did want to record something solo for a while now. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I mentioned it in previous episodes about executive function and how it just doesn't always work out in my brain. But I just want to, talk a little bit about like how SPW Design Media even came to be in the first place, which is kind of a cute story. And actually, it does have to do kind of with me as an entrepreneurial spirit from a very young age. I was always that kid that was wanting to start the lemonade stand or wanting to open a restaurant in my bedroom and like rip up pieces of paper and put them on a plate and like make little foods that I could, distribute and run the whole operation and make the menu and do the thing. So like I really, today is a appreciation and a looking back on fondness with the spirit and the energy that I knew, I guess, was always there, but I didn't realize until, late, I can't even say late adulthood. I'm not a late adult. The energy that existed back then as a small child is still here, and I didn't embrace it probably until definitely undergrad at least. And now it's just like, wow, I'm here. I did a thing. I have a website. I made a list of my clients earlier this week, and just like everybody who I interface with on paper, and you see it all stacked up like that, and you're just like, wow. Anyway, so basically, I guess almost 6 years ago now, I started a website and an Instagram under the name StephanieScribbles. Yep. I'm just, embrace the cringe. So I really did. I hopped on Instagram and I created a website, and I basically made it a dedicated space to develop my DIY greeting card making craft and business. So I really started out making greeting cards because growing up, my mom always loved the handmade cards and would encourage us. I say us, there's 6 kids in my family, but it was really me, encouraged me to make them for people's birthdays, anniversaries, and other holidays. And not gonna lie, I liked being able to put a little piece of me in every card that was given away. I really started to create very personalized pieces for friends and neighbors and later small businesses. And then I realized, oh crap, I love this. I love doing this. I really fell in love with the design process and making stuff with my hands and the freedom of entrepreneurship and really the contemplative practice of intuitively conceptualizing ideas and bringing big ideas to life with intention and care to exceed the client's expectations on any given project. But now I would say for me to just, birth something new that is a win-win for everybody involved. But yeah, you fast forward to now, and I am working as an independent digital design director. I've updated this actually to be creative director and content creator because I feel like it's a little more expansive and I'm not holden to a particular title. But yeah, I've been doing that for the past 3 years, but not formally like as a business, I would say, until the last 2. But I really try to empower organizations and individuals to be their best self online and in print to achieve their mission and goals. And I'm literally reevaluating and reshaping, how I frame myself, how I frame my work, what I want to focus on. Because as much fun as designing websites is and crafting logos, sometimes it's just like, it's like a one and done, and you're not. It can feel a little disconnected from like the greater purpose or vision that a client may have. So I'm really evaluating my relationship to my services and what I offer and what I actually enjoy doing most, because I think that's important to really focus on what you enjoy doing. But yeah, literally, I also had to make a list this week of all of the people and organizations that I can remember working with in a professional capacity over the past 2 years. And that was crazy. That was really fun to see everybody's like logos all together in front of me. And there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, at least 20 logos on like the page that I was making, because I'm a visual person. I really wanted to be able to like, oh, this person I worked with, there's a logo. This person I worked with, there's the logo. It also helps, not gonna lie, building my testimonial page. Like I'm trying to, really make concrete the things that people have said about, my services, because it's very easy to step into just like, oh, like be humble, don't talk about yourself, all that stuff. So I'm really trying to strike a balance between like, this is the value that people say that I provide them, and how can I showcase that? So I listed out everybody that I'm working with now and people that I've worked with in the past, and it's very fun. It's very fun to see, because sometimes you can just be feeling like you're slogging through and you haven't made a dent in anything. You haven't affected anything. You haven't, built a shiny new portfolio. You haven't done this, haven't done that, blah, blah, blah. And you can get really stuck in your head about what you haven't done. But sometimes, and that's why this episode exists, that's why today I'm really trying to be intentional and reflective on what's happened, because a lot has happened. And it really is a joy to see. Taking you through the journey of SPW Design Media. It's a time. There was also a rebrand, and I think that was the little tiny fire that was lit in the past 2 years. One of the big milestones is just because like I was not feeling creative or energetic about what I was doing. Sure, I had clients on the side and I was doing the work that I needed to do for them. But I wasn't pumped like about my brand the way that I want my clients to feel about their brand. So, I'm constantly helping folks rebrand themselves and transform and reinvent and reincarnate. And I was feeling stuck. So I did want to curate a look and feel that I will say is very aspirational in its aesthetic. Like I'm not that person that's like matching towels and matching bedspreads and matching this and that. Because I feel like I grew up with a hodgepodge of things, and things were thrifted, and I just kind of took what I could get and just would curate the things that were around into something that was cohesive. So I'm very good at organizing other people's brands, and then when it comes to my own, it's just like, it's a colorful tornado. So what I really wanted to do I think it was this past year? No, it was last year. Holy crap. Last year, I wanted to get a handle on my brand and just make it a little more sophisticated, a little more dark and edgy, more polished, a little wiser, but still keep the energy and be playful and whimsical at times. So that's another thing that I'm celebrating is this rebrand. And then another step along the journey and a nod of celebration would be this freaking podcast. Like this has been such a treasure to be able to connect with people about what they do and who they are and what their story is, and just like it's almost like a oral diary in a way, with the help and support and presence of other people. That's what I want to curate the space of, being a fun place to come and share and create together. And that really happened a lot this year and last year. But, and I might have mentioned this earlier. Actually, I think I mentioned it in the first episode, but in elementary school, we had a computer lab, and we would all go there for certain things, and they would make us do like skills like key typing and whatever we needed to do. But we went in one day. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's so embarrassing. Actually, nothing's embarrassing. Embrace everything. Everything's real. Anyway, we were in the computer lab, talking about careers and jobs, and the teacher that we had at the time was asking us to take a career quiz, which really would give our tiny little elementary year-old selves some insight as to what we might want to do when we're growing up or fit into. And so I go through and I answer all the questions and check all the boxes, and then it does like this little loading bar thing. And then everybody is getting to the end and they're finishing up, and the loading bars are all finishing, and they get their answers. On the screen, it pops up like 90% likely to be a, veterinarian or a doctor, or construction worker, teacher, a artist or architect or pilot or whatever the heck that these kids were aspiring to be. But the words that showed up on my screen were radio host. So I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Okay, great. All right, I guess. And so I just tucked that in the back of my mind, and I was like, all right, well, I'm pretty sure I did the test again. Just because I don't think my small little self didn't understand like what the possibilities are. Again, another point of celebration for today. So I don't really remember if I saw it and I was laughing in discomfort or, had some FOMO for everybody else who had, quote, real careers on their screens. But I can tell you right now, I am laughing because I have always had a fascination with audio and visual production. And when I did get to try my hand at podcasting in undergrad and some various projects since then, it's left me curious and wanting more and like very open-minded to what the possibilities are in content creation. And then, sitting in a cafe once, and I was like, shit, this idea came to me on paper and I have to do it. And I'm not a radio host per se, but it's pretty close. So I don't know. It's been fun. This is now the 8th episode, and I really want to get better about reaching out to folks in the community. I feel like this whole year, I know it's September, we're like 9 months in, but like this whole year has felt like getting settled, starting over, redoing things, reinventing things, re-examining what's possible, building new systems, tearing down the ones that don't work. So I feel like it's just been a busy time, and I've had to lean into, building foundations where I need them. And hopefully now that things are a little more concrete, I can talk to more people, and it's going to be more fun. So that's another thing. So the branding, the podcast, how it started, the LLC acquisition, that's all been amazing little milestones that I have cried about and screamed about and written about, and just like the fact that some of them are here just blows my mind. And I'm actually in the middle of crying and writing and screaming about something new. All comes down to what I mentioned earlier about really zeroing in on what I want to do, what I want to curate, what does partnership with others and being in community mean for me as a business. And I got an idea at I think very late in the evening. Sorry, I yawned, but I tried to hide it. I don't know if I did a good job. But this idea came to me and I decided, you know what? Yes, I need this. This could be something the community needs. So I've been working on developing a workshop/course. I would love to have in-person iterations of it because I miss being in and around people. I did some digital communications consulting in undergrad, and I really love that piece of just being with people in a room and helping them troubleshoot a bunch of things and bounce ideas off and stuff like that. But you are the first to know. This workshop that I'm working on is called, I've been bouncing between a few titles, but for now the working title is Engagement by Design. Creating design for community engagement with intention and integrity. So basically, I want all the things all the time. That's nothing new. But I want to marry this idea of like successful design and integration and marketing and branding with the idea that we also need to be engaged in community. We need to be ethical. We need to be responsible. We need to be intentional, inclusive. So I was like, okay, how can I develop something that will bring people together and unify folks over design? So this workshop, and it's going to be in a couple of series. So it's going to be a series of workshops. I can't, as much as I want to cram everything into one thing, I cannot do that. But basically, this workshop is going to cover a very powerful design platform. You are familiar with it, I'm sure. It's Canva. So basically some overview of the platform, how you can use it even if you only have a free account, how you can squeeze all of the pennies out of it that you can, even if you have limited resources or staff, how it works, what the legal looks like. Fun fact, you cannot copyright a logo that you create in Canva with Canva elements. That is in the legal part, but a lot of people don't know that. There's a lot of things like when we used to Google images on Google and then just add them in and take them as our own. Like there's ethical considerations, copyright considerations that you have to think about. And so I want to help with that part of the workshop, just help educate folks a little bit more about what is recommended in best practice in that regard, and how the platform works, how you can export things, just like very technical things. But then this workshop is going to cover essential design principles, especially when it comes to nonprofit and entrepreneur and passion project. Like what does it mean for you to carry out design principles successfully for your audience? Literally, there's so much gray area. No convention is right. No convention is wrong. Some are generally accepted, some more out of the box, but like what makes sense for the audience that you're working with, right? And then branding tips, etc. So how can you show up as your most authentic and confident self online consistently, both online and offline? And then the big piece that I think is going to be the most impactful and helpful is the part of the workshop that will cover ethical considerations, mindfulness, inclusivity, with a social justice lens, and intentional decision making. So like when we put something out, are we doing it for lip service? Is it performative? Is it a true representation of your organization? Is it, accurate? Is it is it glossing over some important things? Like who gets to be heard, who's saying the thing, who's being elevated, who's being amplified, all of that. There's so much that goes into it. So you can have a wonderful logo and a wonderful brand and a stunning website, but if you do not have ethical considerations, mindfulness, inclusivity, a social justice lens, and intentional decision making, I don't know. It feels like you're walking around like a skeleton. There's a structure there, but like nobody's home. There's no flesh suit. There's no heart. So I want to be able to give folks a look into that. And then the last thing that the workshop's going to address is strategies for sustaining a strong digital presence and, off digital, but I feel like digital is going to be the focus here, even with limited resources. I know you, listener, or someone is perhaps the sole operator of a marketing team or communications team, or you are running around doing everything yourself. So how to create systems that can help give you sustainability in those endeavors? Because I get it. Like, I'm one person. I am payroll. I am accounting. I am bookkeeping. I am branding. I am customer service. I am hiring or HR. So everything is me. And so I need to be very thoughtful and conscious about what can I delegate? What systems can I put in place, etc. So I want this to be a piece of the workshop that hopefully can, if people are feeling burned out, they can implement some strategies to help with that. So yeah, I've been sitting on this little workshop and presentation for maybe a couple months now. So it is now time. I'm trying to slowly tease it out into the universe. And if you are interested in, a workshop like this, whether that's for yourself or for a place that you work, or, just community members, you want to grab a group together and be like, hey, we want to start a group and we want to market ourselves, but we want to do it intentionally and stuff like that, then I love that for you, first of all. And I want to be able to kind of get your input. I do need some beta hamster gerbil population to kind of test drive this thing that I have so far. So if you're interested in being part of that, at a severely discounted rate as well, if not free, I haven't decided about that. Money conversations and entrepreneurship they're daunting. So I'm still thinking about that. But if you are interested in being part of that in any way, please look at the link in this description. That is my interest/waitlist form. And folks who get on there will be the absolute first to get access to this workshop and presentation. So I want to get real-time feedback and really try to make it as accessible and as easily understandable as possible. So that is one hell of a grouping of things to be thinking about on a second birthday. This business is in its terrific twos, I'm actually going to say, because nothing is truly ever solely terrible. Sure, there's been some struggle points, but you get through it and you move forward and you take another step, and then you turn around 3 days later and you're like, oh, I'm actually 10 steps further along than I thought I would be. So that actually, there was a question that was submitted through the website. And folks, if you do have questions, just are curious about something or want to ask something on the podcast, I literally instated a form for that a few weeks ago on my website. So if you want to do that on the podcast tab, spwdesignmedia.com, on the podcast tab, if you scroll down, there's a little form where you can submit your question, and I can answer it. So, but this question, and I want to do another episode on this. It'll be another solo episode, I'm thinking. But I think it does relate to birthdays and getting older and transition and change. Can you share a specific experience of change or transition in SPW Design Media that had a significant impact on your creative journey? What a loaded question. Oh, man. Change and transition. I think that the one that is top of mind is this year. I think I was living in Texas about a year ago, almost exactly. And I was freelancing. It was all freelance all the time. And I was working with some clients that it just wasn't a great fit. So I did end up having to leave. And then at the time, things were starting to fall apart. I was moving back to Colorado. Like, I was in a period of transition life-wise. And the contracts that I was working on, unfortunately, did not sustain me well enough, like financially, for me to lean into them as much as I would have liked to. I felt discouraged a lot of the time. It felt like I didn't have enough bandwidth. It felt like I didn't know what I was doing. P.S. I still don't know what I'm doing some of the time. But it felt like it felt like I couldn't keep up. And so I literally moved to Colorado, got a, quote, big girl job. I should do an episode on the failed big girl jobs that I've had. I wouldn't call them failures. I would call them lessons. But basically, yes, did that job provide stability and success and capital for me to like dip my toe further into all this? Absolutely. Was it a point of contention, stress, and strain on my creativity and overall spirit as a human being? Yes, also. I don't think it was until recently when I left another big girl job. I was only there for a month though. I completely pivoted and I went into a sales position, and I feel like anywhere else that would have been great. At the place that I was at was so interesting in a funny and hilariously toxic way. That being said, when I left, I said to myself, you know what? I think I need to do the thing now. Like, I need to give my business the attention that it deserves. So yeah, sure, it's 2 years old today, but perhaps it's more of a abandoned and emotionally ostracized toddler. Maybe. Because I can tell you right now that I did not have the capacity or time or love or effort or patience to put into the project over the past, I guess the back end of like last year. So the experience of change and transition, how it impacted my creative journey, it really told me like, okay, wake the fuck up. Like, are we going to do it or are we not going to do it, you know? And right now I'm sitting here looking at my website, actually on the screen in front of me, recording this episode, thinking like, yeah, we're in it. And I look at all those logos and I look at all those lists of clients, like I have started something here and I don't know if I can stop. Which is an amazing, fun, beautiful place to be. But yeah, so I'm going to be celebrating. I did a face mask earlier today. I've been chilling. I woke up early, made some coffee, took my roommate to work. I've been very low-key, journaling, writing, just kind of quietly enjoying the moment, because it's going to get super explosive later, and it's going to be so fun and angry and in the best way. So yeah, I think that is going to be it for this episode, but I just wanted to let you know where I was at, that I will be back, that I'm holding the hand of this little small endeavor that started 6 years ago in my heart, and I'm moving forward. I cannot wait for the next episode to share with you, and as usual, you can find me online. If you enjoy the podcast, if you want to throw me some birthday presents, there is a link to support the podcast on the website. But yeah, just follow me. I'm on TikTok now also, by the way. I don't think I was last time I recorded an episode. So go find me on there. I am trying to be playful and, show some behind the scenes of stuff and be honest about entrepreneurship and everything like that. So that's more of my space to do that and just like interact perhaps a little more in a fun way with everybody. But go check it out there. It's a fun time at SPW Design Media, pretty much everywhere. So thank you for letting me share my birthday with you. Well, my business's birthday, but you know what I mean. I appreciate you all. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Creatives Off the Clock podcast. If you would like to continue the conversation, you can find me and more podcast content on Instagram at SPW Design Media. Henry Matisse says that creativity takes courage, so I wish you the space, time, and intention to be courageous, to be curious, and to make some creative choices. I'll see you next time.